Have you ever felt like you're just drowning in information? Like you've got data scattered everywhere, different systems, different teams, weird formats, and just trying to connect the dots, or get a clear picture for real insights. It feels almost impossible sometimes. If that rings a bell, well, you're definitely not alone. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to cut through some of that noise. We're diving into something pretty transformative for how organizations handle their data, the data fabric. Now, it might sound a bit abstract, maybe futuristic, but our sources show it's very real, and it's already making waves in the world of data. So our mission today is to really unpack what a data fabric actually is. Why is it becoming so critical for businesses now? And interestingly, how a huge player like Microsoft is making this vision real with their own Microsoft Fabric. The goal is to give you a clear, solid understanding, help you connect the dots on this complex but really powerful idea. Okay, so this term data fabric, we hear it quite a bit. Is it just a fancy marketing term, or is there a real fundamental shift happening here in how we should think about data?
Oh, it's definitely a significant shift, a real evolution. Gartner, the research firm, they talk about it enabling frictionless access and sharing of data in a distributed data environment, and how it sort of stitches together integrated data from all these different places and gets it to the people who need it. But importantly, they stress it's more than just a product. It's an architecture design, a structured process, and crucially, a mindset shift where data and business actions are closely interwoven. It's about building this whole connected ecosystem.
Okay, an ecosystem. So how does it do that? How does it work?
Well, the magic really is in how it works. It connects data from, well, pretty much everywhere in your organization. Think data lakes, data warehouses, sure, but also NoSQL databases, GraphDBs, even spreadsheets, CSV files, cloud, on-prem, doesn't matter. But here's the key part. It does this mostly by creating a metadata layer. It queries the sources where they live. It generally doesn't force you to copy and ingest everything into some new giant repository. And this metadata layer, it's like the Fabric's index or blueprint. It knows where the data is, its structure, access details, all that vital stuff.
Ah, okay. That distinction, not copying, but linking that seems huge.
Sure.
It creates this logical network of data sets, right? Our sources compared to web links connecting pages instead of sending copies around. And that eliminates the need to perform point-to-point integrations. Why is avoiding those point-to-point links such a big deal?
It's a massive efficiency gain. Think about the old way, right? Every time systems A and B need to talk, you build a custom pipe between them, point to point. Now imagine you have 10, 20, 100 systems. The number of custom pipes explodes. It's expensive, brittle, takes forever to build and maintain.
It's a spaghetti junction of data connection.
Exactly. The data fabric, by having this universal layer, lets you link and access data wherever it is through the metadata. It just drastically cuts down that integration complexity, frees up IT teams, speeds everything up. It's a game changer.
And what about control? Governance is always a huge headache. Our sources mention data owners can set really granular controls down to a single cell, even dynamically. How does that help with governance?
Oh, it's transformative for governance, honestly. Before, if data was copied everywhere, trying to track and secure it was, well, a nightmare. You lost context, security settings didn't follow. With a data fabric, because the data often stays put and you access it via that smart metadata layer, you can apply consistent policies right there. So yes, you can control access down to a specific column, maybe even a cell for super sensitive stuff, or use rules. It makes complying with regulations like GDPR or CCPA much, much simpler because you have that central point of control and auditability.
Okay, this is where it gets really fascinating for me. If it connects everything, controls access, how does it know? How does it know what's where, what it means, how to link it intelligently? Our sources say it's like a human brain.
That's a great analogy, actually, and it points to its core intelligence, this metadata-driven approach. But it's not just basic metadata. It uses active metadata discovery and semantics inference.
Active metadata. Okay, what's the difference between that and, I guess, passive metadata?
Right. So passive metadata is the stuff we're kind of used to. Data models, schema definitions, maybe some runtime logs like who queried what. It tells you about the data's design, basically. Active metadata is the really clever part. It involves continuous analysis of data usage by systems and users. It's watching how data is actually used, comparing the as-designed state versus the actual experience. It finds patterns, anomalies, and crucially, it's AI-driven, assisted by humans. The AI is constantly learning from the data flows.
So AI is doing the heavy lifting in discovery?
A lot of it, yes. The AI can, for instance, recognize similar data in previously unused or unknown data, that suddenly becomes available. It flags it for users. Hey, new potentially useful data here, which is amazing for finding hidden gems in your data landscape. And get this, if the AI can't figure out what some data means, our sources say it can be set up to scream for help from human allies.
Wow. Scream for help.
Yeah, metaphorically, of course. It flags it for a data steward or expert, they explain it, and then the fabric learns that context. So it's this continuous learning loop, getting smarter over time.
Wow. Okay, so it's intelligent, it learns.
Mhm.
Our sources also mention it's composable by design. What does that mean in practice? Being made of components you can assemble.
Exactly. Composability gives you flexibility. It means you don't need this massive, big bang, rip and replace project to implement a data fabric. You can start smaller. Maybe focus on the governance components first or the data access parts for your analytics team. You can pick and choose the pieces you need and integrate them incrementally. It allows for a more pragmatic evolutionary path. You leverage what you already have while building towards that unified vision.
Right, makes sense. Not an all-or-nothing approach.
Precisely. And this leads us straight into the benefits, which are pretty compelling. For business insights, having that unified view means simply better data visibility. And better insights comes from that visibility. You see connections you couldn't before. Then there's governance. We touched on this, but improved data access and control drastically streamlines data management initiatives, frees up people from tedious tasks, and of course, security and cost. It helps better protect data and can genuinely reduce costs from maintaining and managing data, especially if you're juggling multiple clouds. Fundamentally, it builds data trust, enables better decisions, fuels digital transformation, and yeah, it cuts down time spent on those routine, frankly boring data tasks.
So, thinking about you, the listener, what does this look like in the real world? It's not just theory, right? Our sources mention some really practical use cases.
Oh, absolutely. Tons of them. Think about getting that elusive 360 customer view. Pulling data from your call center system, your CRM, the mobile app, website chats, all into one coherent picture. That's a classic data fabric use case. Or complying with privacy laws, orchestrating how data is accessed and masked across systems, pipelining data into lakes and warehouses, making sure it's fresh and trustworthy for your BI teams.
Okay, so customer views, compliance. What else?
How about provisioning anonymized test data for developers? Doing that safely and quickly, like in minutes instead of weeks. Modernizing old legacy systems by carefully migrating the data. Even real-time stuff, like securing credit card transactions by encrypting or tokenizing data as it flows. And of course, the big analytical task. Predicting churn, spotting fraud, credit scoring. They all get a boost from better, more connected data.
That's a really broad range.
It is. And one key insight from our sources is that Data Fabric isn't just for those big offline analytics projects, trend analysis, machine learning. It's equally important for operational use cases, things that need real-time data for immediate decisions. Ideally, you want a single data fabric that can handle both the fast operational stuff and the deep analytical dives.
And it seems the market is definitely buying into this. The global data fabric market to reach $3.7 billion by 2026. That's significant growth. The U.S. and China leading. It's clearly taking hold.
It really is. The need is just so apparent for so many organizations.
Okay, so we've established data fabric as this powerful architectural concept. But then our sources point out that, hey, this data fabric vision has been implemented by Microsoft. They actually built a product called Microsoft Fabric. Tell us about that.
Right. Microsoft Fabric is essentially their big bet on this concept. They position it as an all-in-one analytics solution designed for enterprises. It's meant to be a single, unified platform. It covers the whole spectrum, really, from data movement to data science, real-time analytics, and business intelligence. The goal is to bring everything together.
How does it do that? By integrating existing tools.
Yes, that's a big part of it. It integrates various components that people might already know things from Power BI for the BI side, Azure Synapse for data warehousing and engineering, Azure Data Factory for moving data around, but it brings them into a single environment built on a common foundation. The idea is to simplify that whole analytics process end to end, make it less fragmented.
And a key piece of this Microsoft Fabric is something called OneLake, described as the unified integrated platform. What exactly is OneLake? How does it act as this central layer?
Yeah, OneLake is fundamental to their approach. Think of it as the data lake for your entire organization within Fabric. It's built on Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, but it's designed to be automatic, unified. The goal is to break down silos. All the different parts of Fabric, the data engineers, the data scientists, the BI analysts, they all work off this one logical copy of the data in OneLake, stored in an open format, so it acts as the data injection layer where data comes in, and the consumption layer where everyone accesses it. Plus, it has built-in support for a data observability framework tracking lineage, quality, usage.
Got it. One central observable lake. And practically, how does Fabric let you use different tools or engines on that data and handle the access control?
Well, it offers the luxury of different engines, as our sources put it. You've got Spark for big data processing, a SQL engine for warehousing tasks, Kusto for real-time log analytics, and Power BI for reporting, all running against that same data in one lake. So you pick the best tool for the job without constantly copying data between engines. And for controls, it aims for robust, centralized admin, managing permissions, monitoring who's doing what, ensuring compliance, all handled within the Fabric environment, which simplifies things considerably.
What a journey. Okay, so we started with this idea, data fabric, maybe a bit abstract, but we've unpacked how it creates this unified smart network for data, really powered by active metadata and AI. We've seen the huge benefits to insights, governance, security, how it applies to everything from customer views to real-time fraud detection, and even how Microsoft is making this concrete with Microsoft Fabric.
Absolutely. And it brings to mind a quote from our sources. People, processes, data, technology, and budget influence your architectural decisions. Choose wisely. A good architect and healthy pragmatism always wins. It underscores that this isn't just about plugging in new tech, it's strategic. It's about evolving your approach to information, considering all those factors. Pragmatism is key.
That's a great point. It's not just technology for technology's sake. So for you, the listener, listening to all this, what new possibilities might open up when data can flow freely, intelligently across your organization? How might this kind of transformation change not just how businesses run, but maybe even how we think about information itself? Something to mull over.